Hi everybody, this is your makeup tutorial for recital. Before you start, I would recommend washing their face with a wet wipe, anything of the sort, just so that you're starting with a nice clean area. I use a face primer no matter what because they're going to be rubbing their face. If they have an itch, anything like that. This one is the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. It's nice and sticky, it gets the job done really well, and then there's absolutely no question that their makeup is going to stay on. There you go. Close your mouth. Great. And then you're going to go in with a foundation. Make sure that their foundation matches their skin tone and that it blends into their neck really well. This is the Morphe Skin Tint. And you don't have to use a lot if you don't want to. Just a little bit so that it's a nice, like, even slate. And then I use a beauty blender, but you can use a brush, your fingers, any sort of blending apparatus. And make sure you're going all the way back into their hairline. Are you good?
Yep.
All the way back into their hairline, and then tip your head down their neck a little bit, just so that it's not a harsh line when you finish blending it out. There you go. Head up.
He's on my nose.
And then the next step is concealer. Again, make sure it matches them. For concealer, you're going to want to go one shade lighter. Any sort of foundation concealer that you have is fine. And again, for concealer, they don't need a lot, just a little bit to highlight the high points of their face. And again, any sort of blending tool that you want to use, whatever your preference is. Look up. Can you open your eyes and look up? Okay. And again, just make sure, open your eye. I'm not going to get you. There you go. Make sure that it's nice and blended. And then you're going to want to go over everything that you just did and set with a translucent powder. You can use a pressed powder or a loose powder, and then a big fluffy brush. And just make sure, open your eyes. Make sure that you get it, open your eyes. That you blend it in so that their base is set and they're not going to sweat or cry if anything happens, that nothing is going to happen to their foundation. Perfect. Sorry. Okay. The next thing is blush. So this is the CoverGirl Cheekers. It's the shade 154 Deep Plum. You can find it at Walmart, Target, Walgreens, CVS, Amazon, anywhere that sells CoverGirl, I would imagine, sells this. And then I just use a regular blush brush. You don't want to get too much. Smile. Okay. And you want to put enough, you want to put enough blush that you're able to see it. Smile. Smile. Because the stage lights are very, very bright and you don't want them to be washed out. And really, 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 really make sure it's nice and blended. Look at me, please. And just make sure that it's even. So if you go in a little heavy-handed, that's totally okay. You can always go back with your powder brush and soften it up a little bit. The next thing is the eyeshadow primer. This is the NYX Shadow and Liner Primer. This is the shade Light. I believe it comes in multiple different shades, so if you want to match it to their skin tone, perfect. You're going to apply that all over their eyelid, and then I would blend it out with your finger just to make sure you get a nice, smooth application. Let me see your other eye. And you don't have to use a lot of this. It's just to make sure that it adheres. Again, if they rub their eyes, if anything happens and there's tears involved, that it won't come off. And then this is the e.l.f. Mad for Matte eyeshadow palette in the shade Nude Mood. It does come in 2 shades, so make sure you're getting the nude one and not, there's one that has like peaches and purples in it, not that one. Also, it comes in a different container now. It has a clear strip so that you can see through into the actual palette. And then you're gonna wanna take a big fluffy brush. It doesn't matter what brand, what kind, anything that's nice and big and fluffy. And you're gonna go into this first shade. Close. And this just goes all over their eyelid. Hold still. Great. And then you're gonna go in with a slightly less fluffy brush, a little smaller, and tap into this third shade over. And again, it doesn't have to be a lot of eyeshadow, and it doesn't have to be super dark or heavy. Just keep your eyes closed, okay? Just enough so that their eyes look big and open on stage, and that it's not just a flat face. And this goes right into their crease. You can take it up a little bit, and then you can bring it out just a little bit on the side to give their eye a better shape. Just dark enough so that it adds some color. And then you're gonna wanna go in with a slightly smaller brush and tap into this shade over here. So the third from the right. Again, not anything crazy, not super heavy. Close. And you're gonna keep this a little closer to the outside and lower in the crease. Again, just to enhance their natural eye shape. Turn. And make their eyes seem a little bit bigger. It works the best if you follow, close your eye a little bit. If you follow the natural V of their eyes. So in the crease, out to this corner, and then down a tiny bit close to their lash line. And then I go back in with a clean, like very fluffy brush, a blender brush, and just windshield wiper motions back and forth so that both of the colors are blended together. And that's really all you have to do for their eyeshadow. Again, nothing too crazy if you don't want to. If you want to be heavy-handed, that is perfectly okay. Then the next thing you're going to want to do is their eyebrows. Now, their eyebrows, especially if they have really, really, really light hair, again, the stage lights are bright and you don't want them to be completely washed out. So you're going to want to fill in their eyebrows, and it needs to match the color of their hair, not necessarily their eyebrow color. So you just brush through, and again, whatever works for you, any sort of eyebrow pencil, pen, pomade, gel, anything like that, that's your preference. And then I'm just gonna fill in hers just so that they're a little bit darker. And small hair-like strokes is what you're going to want to go for. And even if you don't have any sort of eyebrow product for whatever reason, you can use a darker shade of eyeshadow and use a spoolie and just get a little bit on there and brush it through their eyebrows. That also works. What's doing? Just so that they're a little bit darker. Great. Can I have that? Thank you. And then I would recommend a waterproof mascara. Again, there might be tears from some of them. So I would recommend a waterproof mascara, black, not brown. And open your eyes. Blink, blink, blink. I find that this method is the easiest for small children. So if you just hold it kind of close to their lash line and then have them blink a few times. Hold on. Wait, open your eye. Blink. There you go. That typically works pretty well for kids. But you can use whatever sort of method you want. And then you can do eyeliner. I find that it's very difficult to put eyeliner on small children, and they don't necessarily need it. So I'm not gonna do that today because it's not absolutely necessary. So one of the last steps in your process is going to be their lipstick. This is the Maybelline Superstay Ink Crayon in the shade 125 Check Yourself. If you feel better about putting a lip liner on them, they do sell clear lip liner at Ulta if you can't find one that matches this red. But if you can find a red and you feel better about putting on a lip liner first, that's totally fine. This one doesn't necessarily need it because it is like a crayon stick form. It's not a liquid formula. And then just following, don't move. Just following their natural lip shape. Open your mouth. Open. Turn your head. And if you make any sort of mistake, they move, they wiggle, they bump your hand, they have to cough, they have to sneeze, they have any sort of itch, you can always go, open your mouth. Chloe, like this. Thank you. You can always go in with concealer or a makeup wipe, any sort of makeup remover, and clean up the edges. And if anything happens backstage, their backstage moms can touch their lipstick up, so make sure that you send it with them. Tip your head. Down. Thank you. No. There you go. And then if you have a little bump around the edges, you can just take some concealer. Listen. And get it right up in there. And then the last thing that I like to do is spray a setting spray, any sort of setting spray. This one's e.l.f. Most makeup brands have one. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. and just make sure that it's not going anywhere. And then once that dries, you are all set.